What a special treat on Dog Nation. We bring in a former dog, Big Benjamin Watson. I was talking to my brother about bringing you on. He said he was the strongest guy in the SEC when he was a dog. Is that true? Were you the strongest guy in the SEC?
Back in the day, I could hang with the best of them in the weight room. Now, not so much. But back in the day, that's all we used to do was lift, power clean, squat, bench press. That's what we did.
Coach T had you in there.
Oh man,
Iron, huh?
Coach T, God bless him, man. That was one of the fun things. The lift-offs that we would have at the end of the summer program. We run down to the stadium, run all the steps in Sanford Stadium, come all the way back, and then have like a lift-off so you could bench press the most.
Awesome. All right, so now you're in the TV world, analyzing all of the SEC, but you had a chance yesterday, really a cool moment where Kirby comes up, sits on the set with you guys and Nick Saban. What was your big takeaway from Kirby coming here at SEC Media Days?
Man, I think, I was telling my wife the day before, and I said, well, tomorrow's the big day because now the dogs come to town. So exciting to see Georgia come in as always. I thought Kirby did a tremendous job in his presser. Just talked a lot about Carson Beck, obviously, about his development, what he wants to see from him. Gave a lot of kudos to Coach Saban. I thought it was really tremendous to hear him talk from the stage about the impact and influence that Saban had on his life, but also on his coaching career. Some of the questions I had, with Kirby going through so many coaching changes, how was he going to deal with that? Losing 4 coaches, hiring 4 new coaches this year, and he just talked about what he learned from Coach Saban. So to have that dynamic on set with Kirby sitting to my right, Saban to my left, and just seeing how kind of the baton is being passed was really special.
One of the guys who is back again this year, but he did have to replace Mike Bobo is there now for a second year with Carson Beck. What kind of next step can that take when you've got a second-year offensive coordinator again and then a second-year quarterback?
Yeah, it's always about comfortability, and it's about understanding the play calls as a quarterback. Being comfortable calling those plays, understanding what the offensive coordinator wants from you. And really, for quarterback, it's about getting your team to the right play. The thing about Carson Beck, and when you watch him, he gets the ball out on time. He's decisive with his throws, and part of that is his pre-snap reads. Like, he understands and reads the coverage to know that, I'm not even going to go here. I'm going to go over here because the coverage dictates where I can go with the football. You don't see him flustered ever. I remember even when I was watching the Auburn game, and he came out and didn't play super well in the very beginning. He was calm, collected. He didn't get flustered by it. He came back out. They ended up winning the game, obviously. But just the comfortability of being with the OC and having the same quarterback for multiple years in a row is something that a lot of SEC teams have right now. But when you don't have that stability, it always shows. And so, Bobo took a lot of slack last year, but I thought he did a tremendous job throughout the year playing to his personnel. The question, however, this year, obviously, when you lose a Bowers and you lose McConkey, how is that dynamic going to be with the new set of pass catchers?
Talk about Carson being able to kind of make adjustments and read things. One thing that's going to be different in the SEC this year, they're letting iPads be on the sideline. And as an NFL guy, you know what it's like to get on the tablet as soon as you get to the sideline. All right, that worked, that didn't. They're going to come back with this. How do you think that changes things for guys in the college level now?
Well, now you see. Well, number one thing is you can't lie.
Right.
You can't lie and say, I didn't do this, I didn't do
Coach
that.
Can't watch film until Saturday
exactly.
night.
We're going to deal with this right now. You were here. You were supposed to be here. This is the defense they were in. When you see this defense again, this is what you want to do. And so it's really all about in-game adjustments. The thing about football is, as opposed to basketball or other sports, is that, there's a lot of reset. There's a lot of adjustment. There's a lot of thinking, between plays, between series. It's not just free-flowing. And so the teams that are good are not just the teams that have great players or the teams that have great schemes or the teams that are fundamentally sound. It's the teams that have smart players that can make adjustments on the fly. In all my football that I played in NFL, college, when you're able to make an adjustment from series to series and say, you know what, we practice this play this way the whole week, and now they come out in a different front that we weren't ready for. Now we've got to change our blocking assignments. Can you do that, and can you apply that on the next series? That's the key. So I think that you're going to see a lot more, conversations on the sideline. You may see people slamming the iPads down sometimes. That's always fun as well.
Yeah, that's one of those things too. Kirby Smart is not going to have guys who are not smart enough to make those adjustments. You think about a guy like Malachi Starks on the back end. He can get everybody lined up. He's done it a few years now and knows a little bit about everything. All right, you're a tight end. I can't let you go without not talking, Brock Bowers. He's gone.
Yeah.
But you bring back Oscar Delp, you bring in Ben Urasek out of Stanford, a guy that can do it. Do you feel like they can kind of just be that tight end by committee? Because nobody's going to match what Brock could do.
No, Brock is Brock. Every once in a while I see on Twitter people like, rank the Georgia tight ends. I'm like, Brock's number one, and then you leave 2 spaces, and then we can just do like 4 through whatever. But, I mean, Brock is a generational talent, and it's not just what he did, the highlights. It's little stuff like blocking on the edge that you don't think about, but you see Brock blocking on the edge, blocking downfield so that you could break those long types of runs. I think the tight end room is going to be critical for Georgia. It always has been. I mean, 2 years ago, they played more 12 personnel than anybody back when they had Darnell Washington. And so, we'll see how Bobo, what he decides to do with the tight end room. It's a very versatile room. Oscar Delp, I think, is growing into that player you saw last year. He put on some weight last year. I hope he put on a little bit more this year to be able to withstand, playing in the trenches a little bit. And so I think that room has to be, number one, versatile, number 2, reliable, has to be able to make big plays when they're called upon, and just be kind of that steady force on an offense that has some new faces to it.
All right, last question for you. Georgia, at the end of SEC Media Days, they're going to be picked to win the championship, right?
Yep.
What stops Georgia from doing that?
What stops Georgia? Last year I felt like they get to the SEC championship. I feel like they had great preparation. They're a professional football team. They're well coached. They're fundamentally sound. Watching, it felt like they were fatigued. It felt like all the success catches up with everybody at some point. I don't think it was a lapse in judgment or a lapse in focus or a lack of desire. I just think that physically, after playing such long seasons, back to back to back to back, it caught up with them. That's something to keep an eye on. There's something about being successful and being able to repeat it over and over and over again, because it gets tiring. When you have these long seasons, when you're dealing with the weight of expectations and all those sorts of things. And so for Georgia, look, they're going to practice well. They're going to be well prepared. They've got the best coaching staff in America. They got facilities. They've got athletes. They've got the support of an incredible fan base. I am one of them. I'm a Georgia fan. Even though I'm an analyst, I am a fan. I wear my Georgia stuff. But what can get them is something we can also come to, which is fatigue over a very, very tough schedule of a lot of tough road games where that can wear you down. And so it's something to keep an eye on, injuries as well, but I have very high expectations for this Georgia team.
All right, great insight from former Georgia Bulldog Benjamin Watson. Thanks so much for joining us on DawgNation.